Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Every 5 years, you and I elect our representatives to the Lok Sabha, representatives from the state level, elect representatives to the Rajyasabha with the hope that our best interests and our problems will be at the heart of every decision made inside the temple of democracy, the Parliament of India. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our elected representatives seem to have forgotten this very purpose. Last week, the monsoon session of Parliament began, and all that we've seen since then is complete chaos and pandemonium. From sloganeering against the Modi government to Congress's Rahul Gandhi leading anti-GST protests at the Gandhi statue outside the Parliament. On day 3 of the session, MPs protested by showcasing packets of buttermilk, curd and milk in the Rajyasabha against the new GST regime. Protests at the Gandhi statue seem to be the norm now, because yesterday, as a new week began, the agitation continued on one issue or the other. And today it was a new low. Papers were thrown once again at the Rajyasabha chairman as opposition members of Parliament crossed the Lakshman Rekha of showing their dissent. But enough was enough for the Rajyasabha chair. When repeated warnings fell on deaf ears, today he suspended 19 opposition members of Parliament. This comes just a day after 4 Congress MPs of the Lok Sabha too were punished and suspended for the whole session of Parliament. The suspension of these 23 MPs in last 48 hours has irked the opposition even further. Listen in to those who call themselves the defenders of democracy.
I think they have suspended us for a week, up to the week. I think what they will do after a week. But we will keep on protesting.
You will continue with the protest?
Till they allow the discussion, we will keep on protesting.
अनडेमोक्रेटिक ना हम लोग तो पब्लिक साधारण जनता
कल भी आप प्रदर्शन करेंगे,
हम लोग बोलना चाह रहे थे, हम लोग को बोलना नहीं दिया है, मगर हम लोग का सस्पेंड किया है। डेमोक्रेसी में तो प्रोटेस्ट करना तो हर अपोजिशन का काम है, लेकिन दिस इज वेरी अनफेयर।
Extremely unfortunate if we cannot reflect the mood of the nation inside the house, and why are we public representatives? We get thousands and hundreds of calls saying please raise your voice against the GST and price cess, and that's what we were trying to do.
267 देके ऑफिशियली हम लोग महंगाई में डिस्कशन मांग रहे हैं, और आज जब हम लोग ये मांग किया तो तृणमूल कांग्रेस का जो 7 MP है सबको सस्पेंड कर दिया गया। इससे सबूत होता है कि यह तनाशाही चला रहा है पार्लियामेंट सदन के अंदर नरेंद्र मोदी अमित शाह का बीजेपी पार्टी।
Now here's a little fact check for the opposition. They say it's their right to ask questions, but if that is the case, I want them to answer some of my questions. Here's a look at the productivity of the question hour in both houses. In the last 6 days, neither in the Lok Sabha nor the Rajya Sabha has the question hour proceeded smoothly for the entire duration of that hour. 4 out of the 6 days, the Rajya Sabha saw zero productivity in the question hour. A big fat zero. Similarly, in the Lok Sabha, 4 out of the 6 days that the Lok Sabha has functioned saw less than 30% productivity. Our members of Parliament could not spare even 60 minutes to build consensus on finding answers to the questions that affect our lives. And that is why the BJP believes this disruption is only meant to serve their interests and not that of the people. Listen in.
हमने कई बार सदन में भी और सदन के बाहर भी इस बात को रखा है कि सरकार हर विषय पर चर्चा के लिए तैयार है। हम बताना चाहते हैं कैसे बड़े अहम कदम सरकार ने उठाए जिससे भारत में बाकी देशों के निस्बत महंगाई कम रही है। मैं समझता हूं कि विपक्ष भाग रही है चर्चा से, क्योंकि वो समझ गई है कि उनके ऊपर जो जिम्मेदारी थी, जो कर्तव्य था, उसमें वो पूरी तरीके से फेल हुए।
She has also said, I want to hear everybody. Throughout the discussion, I will sit and listen to everybody and reply. एक आध दिन का इंतजार नहीं करते हैं, ठीक है, एक सप्ताह तो बर्बाद कर दिया, अभी हम दूसरे सप्ताह में जा रहे हैं। एक आध दिन में हो जाएगा, इतना भी एश्योरेंस हम दे रहे हैं। और स्पीकर के मुंह के सामने प्ले कार्ड दिखाते हैं, ये तो तरीका है क्या? कभी भी हम भी विपक्ष में थे, आप रिकॉर्ड निकाल के देखिए, हम ऐसे कभी भी इवन वी वर नॉट गोइंग टुवर्ड्स दैट साइड ऑफ द वेल। तो दिस इज अनफॉर्चुनेट।
So the legitimate question on the news are tonight. Opposition using rights logic for Ruckus license? That's the question and that's the debate. Hashtag 23 MPs suspended. The debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight on the debate, GVL Narasimha Rao, Member of Parliament and National Spokesperson of the BJP, Smita Prakash, Editor ANI, Dr. Kanimori NVN Somu, Member of Parliament in the Rajyasabha and Spokesperson of the DMK, Sanjay Jha, Author, Karthik Reddy, Spokesperson of the TRS. And my first question goes to Sushmita Dev, Trinamool Congress Member of Parliament in the Rajyasabha. Sushmita Dev, I want to ask you, you very rightly said that you're the people's representative because you have to raise your voice for the people of this country who you represent. But do you think you're taking it too literally? Because raising your voice is fine, but the fact is if you raise it so much that no business gets conducted, where are you going to get the answers to people's questions from, number one? And number two, if you have questions, at least show the question hour running, getting some answers which the government is willing to get and give to you for people of this country. But you won't allow the question hour to run. You will stand and create a logjam situation because you want the discussion that you want first, and therefore, it's my way or the highway. Sushmita Dev, is that the right approach?
That's a very long charge sheet, Navika, but let me put it in perspective for you. We have been moving a notice to discuss and debate price rise and GST, which, whether we like it or not, is on the minds of the people and is a big burden on the people of India. We've never seen the kind of price rise. It is unprecedented. And for a government in the chair to believe that anything else is more important is in itself blasphemy and a misrepresentation of the mood of the nation. That's what we believe in. To think that the opposition will sit through a session not raising what is actually burdening the people of the country is far more, it brings me far more indignity to be in that position. Whole of last week and Monday and Tuesday, we've been consistently saying, please let us raise this issue. Let's debate it. A government who said, बहुत हुई महंगाई की मार, अब की बार मोदी सरकार, should come up and debate it. What is the reason that you don't? You want to have question hour, fine. You want to have a 0 hour, fine. But rest of the time in Parliament, what is priority today is how the people of India are feeling. So I feel personally as an MP and as a Member of Parliament from the All India Trinamool Congress, to sit like dummies in the Parliament and keep saying Haji to this government will bring me far more disrepute on the ground amongst the people than being suspended. And I reiterate, there are provisions in the parliamentary procedure which allow for an immediate discussion on issues that are pressing on the nation, and democratic principles and parliamentary procedure actually allows us to move these notices which have been consistently disallowed. And I think I much rather, my conscience is very clear, I much rather talk about the perils of the people than go through the mere motions of being in Parliament and sit quietly and say yes sir to this government. That is not why we are in Parliament. We are in Parliament to reflect the mood of the nation, and let's face it, the common man is in trouble. Look at the price rise of fuels, of LPG gas, and the way the GST has been implemented. This must be discussed in the Parliament on an urgent basis, and there's no reason why the government should not answer the pertinent questions that are on the mind of every citizen.
Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, who's being obstinate? The opposition or the government, which thinks that 23 members of parliament will be suspended in 2 days and you'll still have the house functioning? Who's being impractical here and who's being non-adjusting in the situation that we see the parliament in? I think you're on mute. We'll try. Okay. Yes, GVL Narasimha Rao. Okay, Smita Prakash, why don't you take that question first? Who's being more obstinate?
Well, I think Navika, I think I don't want to choose one side or the other. It's very unfortunate that both houses of parliament have not transacted any business for days on end, and all we've seen is unruly scenes and suspensions. Well, I get the BJP's point of view, which they have expressed. You heard Piyush Goyal also in that soundbite saying that the finance minister has COVID, and therefore in a way they are shortchanged when it comes to debating the issue of price rise, which the opposition is demanding. But I also find it odd that the BJP cannot debate it on account of one cabinet minister being unwell. The BJP has a strong bench strength in both houses of parliament, and they defended their policies in the past very vociferously, whether in parliament or whether outside, and they sound plausible even when they are on a weak wicket, like say defending the demonetization issue. It was a dud scheme, but till today the BJP defends it on every platform. Now, if we see their past track record, whether it is China or whether it's Pakistan or whether it's on the Rafale deal, they had either the defense minister or the external affairs minister or the home minister. It's a collective responsibility, and the BJP rises at one voice in both houses of parliament. So I'm a bit flummoxed as to why this time the BJP is giving the impression that it's a shrinking violet. The optics are not looking good for the BJP right now. I might just say this because, you know, while we don't like the opposition standing on benches, tearing up paper and getting suspended for holding placards and all, it's very disappointing to see that. But it's equally disappointing to see that the BJP is not putting up a spirited defense. Their spokespersons on TV debates and elsewhere are saying that the opposition state governments have been coming to GST meetings and sitting silently and not raising the issue on GST issue. But when it comes to parliament and when it comes to TV debate, they're saying GST humko maar rahi hai and things. So if they have that proof, then bring that document, or else show video proof how opposition state governments were silent. It just hurts the BJP right now that they are looking like they are on a back wicket right now, or not playing the front foot.
So let me ask you, Mr. Karthik Reddy. Mr. Karthik Reddy, while it is important, and I completely agree that unemployment, I completely agree that the state of the economy, the GST issue and the price rise issue are extremely important issues. But my question again that I come back to is, when you have to find a solution, being obstinate will never find you that solution. Is it a logjam because both sides are seeing this as a demonstration of strength? कि भाई अगर जरा सा हमने एडजस्टमेंट कर ली तो हमारी नाक कट जाएगी. You know, we will just lose our self-respect or our position of strength. Our position of strength comes from the fact that we will rub the BJP or the ruling party's nose in the mud. Is that the premise on which the opposition is working? Because if that's the situation, today it is the issue of the finance minister not being available, and therefore this debate holding up parliament. Tomorrow it will be something else.
Good evening, Navika. Discussing price rise and unemployment should not be a point of pride and vanity. I can hear myself. Pride and vanity. I believe today India is losing its priorities. India is losing its priorities. Today on national television, we are discussing decorum to be maintained in the House. rather than price rise, which is more important, is where we believe the priorities of these countries are lost. Price rise today, and especially GST, is breaking the back of the common people of this country. If anybody believes the economy of this country is healthy and hale, let me tell you what's happening in this country, Navika. Inflation is going through the roof. Credit growth is slow. Demand is dead. Manufacturing is at 60% to capacity. GDP growth has stalled to a screech. Rupee is at an all-time low. Interest rates are going up. Wages are coming down. And unemployment is everywhere. And we on national television are discussing how to maintain a house, the decorum in a house. The priorities of this country has lost, Navika. We should be discussing price rise in the parliament and also on national television. Today, the Honourable Minister was not in the House to discuss the price rise in GST. And I believe there is no minister in the country to control the price rise and GST or control GST. As our representative from ANI said, this is not the first time. I believe this won't be the last time too. Even if there was a minister in the House, there have been a demand from many opposition parties to discuss on the matter of price rise, to discuss on the matter of GST, but somehow, not surprisingly, the government keeps shying away to discuss the price rise issue or the GST, and this is amply clear enough, and who is on a sticky wicket.
Well, so let me ask Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao. Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, why are you so adamant that only the finance minister, when she comes back after recovering from COVID, will this discussion take place? 6 days, in fact 7 days have been lost. 7 days of business have been lost since the monsoon session of Parliament has begun. Is there no other minister who can respond to the questions? Number one. Number two, there are ministers of state and probably they are well versed in the matters of finance and they can answer these questions, or somebody else. The fact of the matter is, if you want to find a solution, you can find a solution, but if you want to teach discipline ahead of people's concerns on, and let me tell you, these are very real concerns. Price rise is a real concern. So give me numbers of 2012 and give me 2022. Yes. 12 nikal gaya. I think people of this country were upset then. They changed the government, but in 2022 their pockets are still being pinched and they're feeling the pinch. Unemployment is high. Do not give me Rajasthan numbers, because Rajasthan is also part of India and India is facing unemployment as a major issue. The fact that the rupee is reached a certain level that it's never been in is an issue of concern. So Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, being in government also means answering some of these questions fair and square, not just taking positions and taking a very high position at the pulpit.
Navika, allow me 3 minutes to answer all the questions that you have posed and others have been on the comments others have made. Firstly, the question of GST and the hike in the GST for certain commodities is not a decision made by the government. And all those who are making these claims on this program, whether the TMC, the Congress party or the DMK, they must understand that finance ministers were in the 29th June meeting, the 47th GST Council meeting, where the decisions have been made. And none of the finance ministers from your states, your own party chief finance ministers have not made any kind of comments, have not objected, have not submitted any dissenting notes. So what is this drama all about? Why do you want to convert Parliament into drama? Have you questioned your own government? Have you questioned your finance minister? This is the notification that was issued by the government on June 30 after the 29th meeting. It talks about how the exempted food items will now not be excluded from the GST. It mentions even the specific commodities. It mentions buttermilk, lassi. Everything is mentioned. It's a unanimous decision. Where was the Congress finance minister from Rajasthan? And the DMK's finance minister, the erudite foreign educated minister, where is he sleeping? Why doesn't he educate DMK MPs about it? That's one question. That's one part of the answer. The second part of the answer is finance minister, the union finance minister is one minister in the government whose duty is to overall ensure the price management and inflation. And if she is down with COVID, can you not wait for a few days for her to return? Because when debates happen in Parliament, you must understand, when the minister gets up from her seat for even a half a minute, there is a huge pandemonium that comes up. Every member of the House wants the cabinet minister to be present in the House. For every sentence that is spoken, they want her to respond, the minister to respond to each point. So what is the big deal? A few days, can a debate not wait for a few days? Number two. Number three, there are no other issues for members of parliament to raise. This is 0 hour that was approved by the chairman today in Rajyasabha. And this has several submissions from Trinamool Congress. The number 1 item is from Trinamool Congress, Dr. Shantanu Hussain. The number 2 item approved by the chairman is by the DMK. They would have got 3 minutes to speak on important topics that confront the nation or confront the states where they represent. Don't they think they are important? Sushmita Sen was saying on this program, we have nothing else to say. So you don't need this 3 minutes of time to raise an important issue that confronts the country. Why did you let go of this opportunity? Today in the question hour, Navika question hour continued for 1 full hour today, despite the noises. It continued for 1 full hour on Friday. And on Friday there were questions about employment, and today there were questions about GST. The members could have even used this opportunity to pose any questions that they wanted of the ministers. So this is duplicity number 2. Number 3, yesterday opposition members sought an adjournment motion on the post-COVID complications. On the COVID issue, they moved an adjournment motion. The permission was given by the chairman. The chairman had asked the member to initiate the discussion, but they would not allow. Because that's not important for them. COVID and health of people of country are not important to Trinamool Congress, DMK, TRS and others. And lastly, yesterday and for the last 3 days, from Thursday onwards, we've been debating weapons of mass destruction bill, which actually penalizes all those who are financing terror. They did not allow even a discussion on a matter of great national security. Why did you disturb this? Is national security not an important national issue? Is anyone dictating what you should do, what point you should make in the course of a debate? No. They simply do not want the parliament to function, Navika. It's nothing but a conspiracy by the opposition to not allow, to disrupt democracy in this country. On Friday afternoon, the last point, there was a private member bill and discussion happened for a complete 3 hours because this was a bill moved by a private member, Mr. Manoj Jha. But why would they not allow a bill moved by the government when it concerns the issue of national security? The objective is very clear. They do not want the parliament to function. They want to disrupt democracy. So with such heinous objectives, you cannot have a dialogue with the opposition.
Well, Sushmita Deb, and she's not Sushmita Sen, she's Sushmita Deb. Sushmita Deb, since your name was taken, would you want to rebut GVL Narasimha Rao before I get in Sanjay Jha?
See, all I want to tell you, Navika, let me remind the nation and your viewers, these were exactly the same arguments that the Bharatiya Janata Party mouthpieces gave when the opposition was protesting the farm laws. They would just not listen to the opposition. And where do we get our feedback from? We get our feedback from people. People in our constituencies, people in our states. But they will not have it because their Lord and Master, Mr. Modi, Mr. Prime Minister has told them that this bill has to go through. What happened eventually? After all the ruckus, like many channels are saying, we were proved right. The Prime Minister of India, with due respect to him, he is the Prime Minister of India, he had to retreat and take back those farm laws. Today, when we go to our constituencies and our states, people are saying, why are you not raising the GST issue in the parliament? And I would like to tell my friend, my learned friend GVL, that please don't mislead the viewers on what is the function of the GST Council. It is an advisory body and it is composed in a way where 75% of the members are from the central government and 25% are from the state government. Please do pull out the minutes of the meeting and have a look at what I'm saying, whether it's true or false. And it is simple. It is simple. Please debate the important bills, no issues. But anybody who understands parliamentary affairs knows that along with bills, the chair has the full liberty and discussion to allow any form of discussion on other issues. So do not, Mr. GVL, tell the viewers that we are not debating the bill. If you allow this discussion, it can happen side by side. The bills can be debated and price rise can also be debated. And let me remind you, GVLG, that in the farm laws issues, your defense minister debated it. So I hope Nirmala Sitharaman recovers very soon. I wish her all the very best. But do not give the impression to the viewers that just because the finance minister is indisposed, that this debate cannot happen, because your defense minister chose to debate the farm bills.
Well, so let me also raise this question, Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, Lord and Master the Prime Minister is what Sushmita Deb says about the Prime Minister. And Rahul Gandhi on the streets of Delhi squatting in Vijay Chowk says, Raja hai and this is a police state. And where does he want to take the issue of GST and Mehngai? Out on the streets on a day his mother's being questioned, the Congress president is being questioned by the ED. Why not any other day? Question number one. Number two, Sushmita Deb or TRS or DMK, all these parties are representatives of the people and therefore they want to raise the issues of the people of India, and that's their right, and that's why they are not allowing Parliament to function till the issue of price rise is debated and discussed. I want to ask you, is the Prime Minister of India a member of the Rajyasabha? Is he not somebody who's won elections and repeated elections? Is he not a representative of the people, Sanjay Jha? Why is there a tone and tenor that comes out saying Lord and Master, Raja, when the same thing actually is being done by the Congress party, because they want to stall everything because there is an ED question going on? Because if it was about price rise, there would have been a separate rally, there would have been a separate Rasta Roko, India Bandh or whatever. But it only happens, people come on the streets and all senior leaders of the Congress party on the day ED questions one of the Gandhis. Is that also a coincidence, Mr. Sanjay Jha?
Well, Navika, before I answer your rather serious question, in lighter vein, since I heard my good friend GVL mispronounce a name of a particular panelist out here, Sushmita, I hope he doesn't address his big boss, Mr. Narendra Modi, as Lalit Modi sometime. He'll have to pay a heavy price for it. Let me address your fundamental question. There is no denying that parliamentary gridlock, if it is happening today, is the responsibility of the government. And I think, the Congress party has been in government for decades. And I do agree that even when the BJP was in the opposition and doing a lot of filibustering, I do feel that the Congress had a bigger role to play. And today, I think the BJP must stand up and take responsibility. I think, as Smita quite correctly articulated, the issue here, Navika, is very straightforward. That if I was in the government, and this is my, advice to my good friend GVL, whether he likes it or not, is very unsolicited, that if you are in government, you should be actually more keen than the opposition to tell the people of India why there is a price rise. Now, we cannot dispute what is happening on wholesale inflation or consumer price inflation. or fuel, imported inflation coming through fuel prices, or the depreciation of the Indian rupee. I agree that Nirmala Sitharaman is unwell, wishing her a very speedy recuperation and hope she's back soon. But is there such a bankruptcy of talent in the BJP that on an issue that is being discussed day in and night out, that the Prime Minister should be actually breathing in and out every minute? There is not a single leader who can accede to such an elementary request to have a chat in Parliament over this. Sushmita is absolutely right. If you really go down to the streets, and we are all very privileged to be sitting on your show, Navika, but when you go down to the streets of Bihar, Odisha, go to, smaller states in the northeast, people are deeply affected, grievously wounded by the price rise. Now, GVL here went into this whole conversation, apparently, allegedly, where the opposition quietly acquiesced in the rise in GST on curd and atta and rice. If that is the case, then is GVL saying that all the opposition leaders are lying if they are protesting on the GST? Do they really have the minute? Why don't they live record it, put it out in the public domain?
No, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, Sanjay Jha. How many of these finance ministers came out and tweeted or held a press conference and said that this is what is being proposed and we are against it and we've been overruled because our numbers are lower, we are protesting against it? Not one of them. And please don't tell me they are shy. They are shy people, and they didn't just do it because nobody is shy and everybody is on social media. They could have protested there. So the duplicity is also a fact. Sanjay Jha, as much as the question that you raised, that isn't there another minister who can answer, which is also a valid point that you raised. But let me ask Dr. Kanimori. Dr. Kanimori, I want to ask, is placards, holding placards in front of the chairman of the house, is throwing papers at the chairman of the house, something that's going to enable people to hold a debate on the floor of the house and get answers to the questions that you want to raise, number one. And number two, the question hour itself. Are you saying that the question hour, which was lost for 4 days last week, are irrelevant questions raised there, that you don't want to attend the question hours and raise the people's questions in the question hour? It's also a question that the opposition must answer.
Good evening, Navika. First, I would like to address my friend Mr. Narasimha Rao for his question. Just a small confirmation over here. Our finance minister, who was not a part of the group of ministers which was constituted after the 45th GST meeting, for your most kindest information. The Karnataka Chief Minister was the coordinator of the group, and only states of Bihar, Goa, Kerala, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal were the members of that group. And Tamil Nadu was not a member, and our finance minister has written a letter on June 20th stating that Tamil Nadu government will not accept the proposals of GST levy on food items like rice, curd, buttermilk, jaggery, as it would affect the common people. Similarly, the state government has also given it. So how do this is the explanation given by our finance minister for kind Mr. Narasimha Rao. And you say holding placards or throwing papers are not the resolution for this. Yes, I do accept. But why are the leaders push us to that extent? We have been asking for 267 from 18th of July. That is day one of the session. Why isn't the government taking it up for the discussion? As you say, it's only the finance minister who has to answer. Why not Mr. Narendra Modi ji, who addresses Man Ki Baat to all the people? Why not he come to the floor and address the people? We are also people who's been elected from the government. We are also representing the people. We are not representing something, our household work. We are representing the price hike. Why not the PM comes and answer to us? Why not Mr. Piyush Goyal, who is a good friend of our finance minister, who has given a statement today after all the ruckus, could have answered the questions, or he could have made this announcement on day one. The finance minister is sick. We could take it up. Please give us some time. It's not that we would not take it up. Why let the whole week go about and then come today and give us an announcement? It is just the government which is running now has taken it as a blanket from the opposition to cover up the flaws. Now tell me frankly, Navika, you should have gone through all the bills which has been presented for this monsoon season. What are the bills which we are having which is in the highest priority? Can I see it? Can you see it? We are just discussing a Tanchika. I don't say those bills are not required. It is not of any as much as emergency as a price rise of a GST rise of a milk, curd or rice. This is more important than what you people are doing for those bills. Those bills can wait. Price hike of the common people cannot wait. This is what we are trying to tell you guys. Please give us some time. Please take up the discussion on the floor. Get the floor on order. Finish off the discussion so that it moves on. And you have beautifully put up the scenario as how many hours have been wasted in Lok Sabha, Rajyasabha. The member of the parliament would also be happy to see on Times Now how much of the physical energy of the opposition people has wasted, and we have been pushed to the well. We have been standing from our places and raising voices. Nobody listens to us, and finally we have to land there. How do you think we would bring it out? We are also have to give some opportunity and credibility to the people who have been...
Well said, and the ladies on this show have been extremely feisty and they mean business. Smita Prakash, there can be no two ways that price rise and day-to-day lives of people are of importance. Nobody is denying the importance of national security issues. But these day-to-day survival issues are also important. Do you think the opposition is right when it demands a quick discussion on this issue, which is the refrain that's come out from 4 members on this panel?
Yeah, I think there should be a discussion, and I don't think the BJP should fight shy of this. But that having said, I really don't like this placards and this kind of disruption and this waste of energy as the DMK person said. But that having said, I don't think there is any crushing of democracy which is happening. Just this year, 5 BJP MLAs were suspended after they created chaos in the Bengal Assembly. 3 BJP MLAs were suspended in Telangana Assembly also this year. In Maharashtra, 12 BJP MLAs were suspended for a year. So, it's not as if one party or one place they are getting suspended. Democracy seems to be getting crushed month after month in this country. And the other thing which, I think even you ran it right now, everybody quoting this, what Jaitley said, what Sushma Swaraj said. The fact is that whatever Jaitley said, whatever Sushma Swaraj said, it wasn't written in gold. It's not written in the rule book. So that's why, we can't keep going back on that. That the BJP did this, so Karthik we can Reddy. Do this. This is democracy. No,
absolutely. And Karthik Reddy, that's the point. What happened then? It was wrong. If it was wrong, and there were larger issues of several corruption scams that were happening, but that's not a precedent. There is also a precedent that Vajpayee said. And if you're talking about suspension, it's not a new thing at all. In 2012, Meera Kumar suspended 12 members of parliament. In the Rajiv Gandhi government, 63 members of parliament were suspended. It happens. It happens if you've got business to be conducted. It's happened before. It's happened now. It happens in states. Why such a hullabaloo?
I thought the Modi government was elected to bring in certain changes, Navika. I think they should set an example how to run the house, how to give the opposition certain space to discuss. And let me go back to what Mr. Narasimha Rao Garu has said. Today he was talking about national security. Let me remind the nation, whenever the BJP is pushed to a corner, there is danger to national security. There is nothing else which really troubles national security, but when the BJP is in trouble, the national security is in trouble. And please, let's not shoot from the GST
that's right.
Shoulder.
National security always comes to your rescue, number one, and number 2. You have other ministers, you have a good bench strength. Why are you being obstinate? Solutions should be found, not problems to solutions.
Okay. Navika, I think we don't select bills. This is a bill that was introduced in Rajyasabha, and this was already listed. National security does not come to our rescue. The BJP comes to the rescue. BJP has protected. BJP has ensured zero tolerance against terror. All the cheerleaders of the Congress must understand how national security was compromised when the Congress was in power for 10 years. how every city in the country, including Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Bombay, every city was on the radar on the terror strikes. Certainly BJP has ensured that national security is given topmost priority and there is zero tolerance against terror. And on the issue of price rise, we have everything to showcase. I am waiting for that opportunity to debate this issue. I don't know, where will these parties go and hide their faces? Let them see, is petrol, diesel
then if you have so many aces up your sleeve, Mr. GVN Narasimha Rao, from the people of India, a heartfelt request goes out to the government that if you have all the answers and if you have nothing to worry and if you can actually put the opposition in its place, what are you waiting for? We are looking forward to that debate and some answers to the questions that people of India have. We hope that debate will happen sooner than later, and we hope the opposition will get together and bring up what is really a robust democracy on the floor of the House in Parliament. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.